The therapist for the Belgian Olympic team at the Olympic Games in Atlanta. Medical director, ClariGenZ Health. 3 decades involvement with the best optimal health practices, anti-aging and regenerative medicine, sports performance, nutrition. This guy does it all, biohacking strategies. There's a lot of value coming. I had the chance to connect with Dr. Mike for a Writing with Authors episode. He's a great guy, had a lot to offer there, so I can only imagine what he's going to bring on to this show. Scroll down in the episode description to check out his Writing with Authors episode. Today's guest is focused on helping people regain the control of their health, and Dr. Mike Van Thielen will help you do just that. Excuse me. Dr. Mike, thank you for coming on another show.
It's a pleasure, Vincent. The last time was good fun, so this one will be too.
Absolutely. For everyone who has not checked out that journey yet, please let everybody know where they can find more about you online.
mvtonline.com or biohackingunlimited.com. Same website. Other pages are there. My books are there. Keynote speaking, free Zoom calls, mentorship programs, everything you need is right there.
At Tampa Counseling and Wellness, we want to remind you that it's okay to not be okay. Reaching out for support and asking for a little extra help can be overwhelming, but everyone deserves a safe space to heal. We're so honored to be that space for Florida residents. If you want to learn more about our services or you'd like to set up a free consultation with one of our clinicians, you can call or text us at 813-520-2807. We're looking forward to growing with you.
Yes, be sure to stick around, hear his journey today, then head right to his website. He's got a lot to offer, and be sure to stay around for the spotlight story at the halfway point. As we have someone with great experience with group process and mental health, we're going to dive into an article, 4 reasons why swimming is great for mental health, and get Mike's take on it. We're going to dive into this article because of his experience on the swim team, and I know the exercise, all the mental health benefits that offers me, so I can't wait to learn more about the swimming sides of things. But Mike, I'm glad you're coming on. If it's your first time joining us listening on today, this is the show where I sit down with mental health advocates and professionals from all around the world to help you on your journey. I want you to remember that you are not alone. Mike, we're going to dive right into it. Let's share your journey with mental health.
Sounds good. In the beginning, there wasn't much of a mental health aspect, but when I started during the pandemic, doing some podcasts, but also working from Boston Neuro and Psych, I pre-screened many people for medical marijuana cards. And so it really dawned on me that there's so many of us suffering with anxiety and depression and those types of things. Not just the younger generation, but everybody seems to be suffering from that. So I really had to dive deeper into it. And my upcoming book, hopefully January the 1st, really gives a lot of tips and strategies to attack that problem. But before we go into actually the mental health portion and what supplements or nootropics could help with that, I actually figured out there's a much bigger issue that is causing us to be depressed and anxious and fearful and worry all the time. And that is a lack of purpose in life. I've talked to so many people since I saw you the first time that's something that I'm really advocating and teaching people now, because when you ask people what's your purpose in life, they can't answer. And some of them have a purpose in life, and then we need to make sure it's the correct purpose in life. Because think about this. If, society puts us in this lane, right? In this one-way lane, we're supposed to go to school, then we're supposed to go to college, then we're supposed to get a job and work 65 years for somebody else, and then we're supposed to get an RV and travel the world, but usually that doesn't happen because we have a stroke before that happens, right? Mm-hmm. And then we have our parents and our teachers, because our parents, if daddy's a lawyer, he wants you to go to law school. If mom failed medical school, she wants to live vicariously through you and wants to go to medical school. And your teachers tell you, well, you got to get a good degree because you got to be able to provide for your family. But nobody's asking you, what is it that you want? What is your passion in life? What is your purpose? And so I need people to pause and really take the time to figure out what their purpose in life is. And I got some exercises for that to figure that out. If you want to know, ask me later. But but it's helping them figure that out. And once you are passionate about something, and if you have purpose in life and you have a fire in your stomach, then the next thing, it sets the stage for everything. But then we're going to have to set a plan and a strategy. And as a mentor, I help people doing that. And then we have to achieve our highest potential, we also got to surround ourselves with a team of experts, because by yourself, you're never going to get to your highest potential. And then we got to just attack all the obstacles. But those obstacles don't become obstacles. They become stepping stones, because we know where the finish line is. It's like your 110 meters hurdles. Those guys know where the guys or women know where the finish line is. So you're just going to attack those hurdles to get faster to the finish line. And so I think when you really have a purpose in life, you wake up every day with a goal, with a to-do list, with your calendar, getting a step closer each day to those dreams, to those goals. And when you have that under control, and when there's clarity about who you want to be, where you want to go, there is no room for anxiety. There is no room for depression. There is no PTSD, there is no ADHD, there is no such things. If we don't have a purpose in life, things are getting thrown at us and we don't know where we are. And that's why we're depressed. We have no guidance, we have no roadmap, there's nothing going on. So before we go into nootropics and fixing those things, I think that's the number one thing. If you don't have purpose in life, it doesn't matter what drugs you're on, what therapist you go to. We need to figure out what your purpose in life is. And everybody has one.
I love that. I can certainly agree that when I wake up, I already have my to-do list, everything. And with free time, as you're saying, no purpose, there is time to worry. There's time to just be hard on yourself. And of course, we all have good days and bad days. That's not what I'm saying. But my stress is different from an anxiety, if that makes sense. My work stress with just being an entrepreneur, I'm sure we'll have Mike on that show eventually too. He'll be a triple dipper on all the shows. But he's given us a great intro so far. He's told us really when he started in the mental health world as well. Now, he mentioned just now he has some ways he can help improve mental health. Let's talk about that a little more, Mike.
Well, yeah, there's, I mean, it depends what the symptoms are, right? But we have anxiety, depression, PTSD, and those types of things. And there's many comorbidities to that too. So first of all, you really need to also get organized in your life, because when you get control over your life, not just the purpose, but control, meaning your calendar, your agenda, knowing what you're going to be doing, no overlapping, saving time, knowing what you're going to be doing is control of your life. And control creates clarity. Clarity reduces stress. It's that simple, right? So a lot of those people are not in control of their life, hence their symptoms and their diagnoses.
Love that.
But what we have found with these people with anxiety, depression, mental illnesses, they obviously need a lot of strategies and tips to manage their time and to get organized. Some of them are lacking focus. They can't get things done. They can't be productive. They are fidgeting. They are procrastinating. They're not prioritizing. So my new book has hundreds of tips and strategies in, and some of them will work for each individual. That really will, put that under control and help those people organizing. And part of that is, and it's all of us, not just those people with these mental illnesses and diagnoses, we are in a dopamine overload today. And what that is dopamine is one of the 5 intelligence hormones. We have dopamine, serotonin, epinephrine, norepinephrine, and acetylcholine. And when those 5 hormones work in balance and they're optimal, that's when we are, in our maximum production stage when it comes to the brain. That's when we're in the zone. That's when we can bring our A game. That's when we're going to win, when we're in the zone. Now, but when there's a dopamine overload, too much dopamine, then those hormones are out of balance. And that's when we get into a brain fog. We're fatigued. We lack attention. We lack focus. We can't get the job done. We're procrastinating, etc. So the dopamine overload, where does it come from? Well, dopamine is the reward hormone. So when our brain squirts a little bit of dopamine, it feels good. It's like getting a pat on the back. So sugary drinks, sugary food, energy drinks, coffee, they all give us some dopamine, some squirts of dopamine. But today, it's mostly social media. Because everybody, and every time somebody likes your post or likes a heart on Instagram or likes your comment, it's a little squirt of dopamine. And so we like it. So we're looking for more of it. And that's why most of us are addicted to it or spend more and more time because it feels good. We get a dopamine squirt. So it's a dopamine overload that gets us in this brain fog of not being focused, not being able to produce. So once we understand that we're in dopamine overload, we now can do whatever it takes to get those hormones balanced. And one of the things is obviously you're going to have to manage your social media. You have to control it. And again, many tips and strategies on what to do. When you got to finish a project or do some homework, if you're a student, we need to, these are just examples. We need to assign a designated area at the house or the office where we're going to do our homework or our project.
Yep.
We're going to, for example, shut off the phone and put it on airplane mode and put it away because it's a disservice to you to let other people interrupt you when you are working. So you use your phone to call other people. You can interrupt them if they allow you to, but do not let people interrupt you. And then there's different techniques. A good example is the Pomodoro technique. That technique basically says 20 minutes, no distractions, phone in another room, 20 minutes focused, work, your timer goes off, 5-minute break. Now you can go out, you can go to the restroom, you can walk the dog, or you can check your phone. But when the timer goes off, not 5:01, not 4:59, 5 minutes, you go back in 20 minutes, and you can repeat that cycle 4 or 5 times. And the tips and strategies go on and on. But on top of that, I've always been looking for a natural alternative to drugs like Adderall and things like that. And so those are called nootropics. And so I'm taking a nootropic called Focus Plus that really helps you get into the zone also.
I love that. I'm taking so many notes here for when this episode goes live. Maximum production states, taking breaks while you work with those timers. That's something I do. I even talk about that in my second book, my ebook for working remote. I take intentional screen breaks. As someone who's on the computer all day, as a writer, as a podcaster, I have to take intentional breaks, going outside, getting sunlight, natural boosts, natural stimulants. As I mentioned before, unless it was before the show, we talked about exercise here, which we're doing with swimming coming up here. It's been a lights out episode so far. Thank you so much, Dr. Mike. I want to now, before we hop into the spotlight story that's going to talk about 4 reasons why swimming is great for your mental health, what are some of your favorite things to do for your mental health, Mike? Short-term or long-term?
I biohack a lot. So, like my morning routine, for example, is I get up and I do 3-4 minutes in a cold bath. So that wakes you up right away, right there.
Yeah,
and then I do a few minutes of meditation, 5-10 minutes of meditation. I don't do breakfast because that's the least important meal of the day. So I usually, do some juicing. I do a brain dump because my mind needs to be clear. And then I go to work. So that's my morning routine. My evening routine usually, I like to get to bed before 10 p.m. So at 9 p.m. I do I put off all social media and all technology, because otherwise people keep calling and you continue to do business, but you don't make smart decisions when you get tired. So at 9 o'clock, it's time to stop working, take a shower, brush my teeth, go lay in bed. But I do certain things. I either read 2 pages of a book because it's better to do something than nothing when it comes to self-education, or watch 10 minutes of a podcast, but not too long, 2 pages, 10 minutes. Yeah. And after that, I do 10 minutes of not necessarily meditating, but it's called New Calm. New Calm is an app that I use to just kind of wind down. It's like a stress relief type of thing. And then I go to sleep. So you got to get into some power routines that help you, getting that mind calmed down. And another thing that I sometimes do before I go to bed is visualization for the next day. And during the visualization, you only make good choices. So when the day comes and there's the option between juicing or a burger, I already visualize the juice. So I'm going to go for the juice, So you visualize the day step by step, and you know what you're going to be doing. And you always make good choices the night before that day during your visualization session, which only takes 2 to 3 minutes.
I love it. I have the strong morning and evening routines as well. I'm in bed maybe even a little earlier than that because I am most productive in the morning. But I think now is the perfect time to head into this week's Spotlight story. As I mentioned, we're reading an article titled 4 Reasons Why Swimming is Great for Mental Health, and then we're going to get Mike's take on it. A 2012 survey of nearly 1,200 swimmers aged 16 to 45 all around the world, conducted by Speedo, investigated how swimmers felt about the sport. Here's what the survey said. 74% of respondents said swimming helps release stress and tension. 68% of respondents said that being in the water helps make them feel good about themselves. 70% of respondents said swimming helps them feel mentally refreshed. And those are pretty high numbers in percent-wise, but there's more to these findings than just a self-reported sense of relaxation or calm. Indeed, science is beginning to unravel some of the mental health benefits of swimming, and some researchers are investigating whether swimming could eventually become an actual treatment protocol for depression and anxiety. Take, for example, a recent case study published in the British Medical Journal case reports about a 24-year-old British woman named Sarah who has major depressive disorder and anxiety. Medications made her feel, quote, off and groggy. So with the encouragement and supervision of another at University College of London, Sarah began exploring cold water swimming as a form of hydrotherapy. We heard our guest discuss that earlier. After the first session, she noted symptom improvement, and over the next several weeks, she continued swimming regularly in open water. Before long, she was able to taper off her medications, and 2 years later, she was still drug-free and managing well with her swimming as medicine protocol. Although investigation is still ongoing to whether pool swimming can offer the same benefits as open water swimming, the fact remains that humans want to be close to water. Dr. Mike, what are some of your takeaways from this article?
Well, interesting article. I'll start with the last thing you said, indoor pool swimming with the chlorine. Obviously, chlorine is a toxin. Your whole body absorbs it. So I don't know if that's the healthiest thing to do. And I do it. I'm a competitive swimmer. Open water from a health point of view, obviously, would be better, right? Unless the water is contaminated. We got the fresh air. We're being outside. We're grounding with Mother Nature and Earth. So obviously, there will be much more health benefits swimming outside versus in an indoor chlorinated pool. But yeah, with swimming, but like with most exercises, I guess, there's a release of endorphins, right? And endorphins are the feel-good hormones. And they also have a pain-killing effect for those that suffer from pain. So, and that's because they stimulate the opioid receptors, right. And they also stimulate the 5 intelligence hormones, right? So we talked about those hormones earlier. So if it stimulates the hormones and we optimize those, we're getting into the zone, we're getting more clarity, we're getting more focus. And so if that's your problem, yes, it certainly can help any types of endurance sports to release those endorphins. So that's number one. Number two, there is a boost in brain cells because aerobic exercise, as swimming most of the time, it stimulates BDNF. And BDNF is short for brain-derived neurotropic factor. And that factor basically promotes growth, survival, and maintenance of neurons, right? And we need those neurons to connect with neurotransmitters. And the more connections we have, the more of our brain we use. So you could say that by stimulating that BDNF, you're getting smarter, right? Because you're maintaining and connecting those neurons. So, and therefore it slows down the development of the diseases that we see today, which is Alzheimer, dementia, and you name it. The other part you mentioned, Vincent, was social contact. Yep. I agree. If you go to the pool, if you go to a swimming competition, there's people. You're surrounded with people. You're interacting with people. Swimming maybe a little bit less because while you're actually swimming, there's really no room for talking or socializing. Right. But of course, there's breaks, there's interval sets, there's the interaction with the coach and the trainer and before and after the session. So yes, there's still a lot more social contact than staying at home and being by yourself. Absolutely. And as with any other type of exercise, when you exercise, you sleep better. You fall asleep faster when you're tired or you exercise, and you also sleep deeper and longer. And, we can talk about sleep 6 hours straight because sleep is so important for repair, regeneration, and renewal of our cells and our organs and our tissues. And the last thing that I want to add maybe to the research, which they should have investigated maybe, or that's maybe for something else, is I think that swimming at my young age, I started at 8 and kind of finished or stopped swimming at 24, then I picked it back up at 46. But during those developmental years, I think it really helped forming my character because it was a commitment and I had to be persistent. And even as a young adult, I had to show up even though I wasn't in the mood and I really didn't go. I had to show up. So it's doing things you don't want to do, which, you better get used to that in life, especially in the beginning when you didn't figure out yet where you want to be, what your purpose of life is. So I think it's really character building, which will benefit you in all other aspects of life.
I love that. Keep everyone out there, keep challenging yourself, keep building your character. And he's really challenging us all today to stay true to ourselves. And I appreciate that, Mike. So now, before we let you go, I have to ask you for one piece of advice you have for any mental health champion out there who is struggling right now.
Well, I just started trademarking my new method. It's called the IZOD method, IZOD, and it stands for In the Zone on Demand. And so we all know that all of us have been in the zone before, but most of the time it's by chance. Oh, I've been in the zone and I was in the zone and I performed. But can we reproduce it? And so my IZOD method tells you or shows you how to reproduce being in the zone. It's about being in the zone on demand, delivering your A game whenever you want to, whether it is in sales, whether it is as a business person, whether you want to crush those sales goals, whether you want to kill a presentation, whether you want to be in optimal health, whether you want to find inner peace, whether you want to get a recording record or create an amazing piece of art. It doesn't matter. You need to be in the zone. All those 5 intelligence hormones need to be optimized in the zone. Michael Jordan was the best example. He always was in the zone. He could do it on demand, but most people can't. It's by accident. So what I'm doing with this method, I'm teaching people on how they can control that and put themselves in the zone on demand. And there's many strategies as part of that. And there's only one product that I recommend to use in the beginning. And then if you're really getting control, you may not even use it, but it's called Focus Plus. It is a natural nootropic that's safe, no jittery, no side effects. And I basically stumbled upon it by accident because I didn't want to recommend Adderall or any of those drugs to anybody. And so this Focus Plus has 4 neuro agents in it that really optimize and modulate intelligence hormones. In 30 minutes, you're in the zone and it lasts for 6 hours.
Love that.
So for your listeners that want to try a free sample, go to trysmartpill.com. Trysmartpill.com. You'll get 2 pills for free. Take one 30 minutes before you got to work or do homework or go work out or do a competition. If in 30 minutes you don't feel much, take that second pill and then it should last for 6 hours. If it doesn't work for you, don't buy it.
All right, I put that right here. TrySmartPill.com. And Mike, I want to thank you so much again for taking the time to hop on this show too. I look forward to having you on that entrepreneur show when you have that trademark ready to launch. We'll bring you on the show. We'll talk all about that and the business side of things. One more time for our audience, please share where they can find you online besides the TrySmartPill.com.
Yeah, my website is MVT, as in Mike Van Thielen, online.com or biohackingunlimited.com, and you can get a free 20-minute Zoom call to talk to me directly.
All right, everyone, be sure to head to all those websites, and we are hashtag a mental health break, at a mental health break, and at Vincent A. Lancy on all social media and YouTube. Mike, we will talk soon. Congratulations on the trademark in the work, and thank you for all the value you brought to our mental health champions today.
Anytime, Vincent. Thank you for sharing this information with your audience. Appreciate it.